Netanyahu's government is hanging by a thread, and it all comes down to one explosive question. Should ultra Orthodox Jewish men serve in the military of the Israeli Defense Forces like everyone else? You guys probably haven't heard about this news. It's Israeli news. The United Torah Judaism Party, UTJ, just quit Netanyahu's coalition based on this military conscription issue, where they're wrestling with the idea: should Hasidic Jewish men who want to dedicate their lives to studying the Torah, should they have to accept conscription orders and fight for the Israeli Defense Force? And this conversation, this struggle, this tension in the Knesset, the Israeli parliament, could bring down the entire Israeli government. Here's what's happening and why it matters. For decades, ultra Orthodox men in Israel have been exempt from military service, studying in religious seminaries, while yes, while other Israelis risk their lives defending the country. That's the framing, at least. But as the war in Gaza drags on and casualties mount, ordinary Israelis are asking a brutal question, straight up, no fluff. Why should our sons die while while their sons stay safe in study halls studying the religious texts? The Israeli Supreme Court finally said enough is enough, and they ruled that ultra Orthodox men must be drafted as well. They must accept the call to defend their country. The military announced it would issue 54,000 new draft notices, letters basically saying, yo, mans need to have a, fight for the state. Specifically, these 54,000 new notices were sent to Hasidic Jewish men, to seminary students who studied the religious text and previously would not have to accept the draft call to arms, right? And these letters ended the decades of exemption that they had because of that recent Supreme Court ruling, Israeli Supreme Court. This triggered a political earthquake. The United Torah Judaism Party, holding several crucial seats, walked out and said, we're backing out of Netanyahu's government coalition on July 15th, just a couple of days ago. Their departure leaves Netanyahu with just 61 of the 120 member Knesset. So basically, he had a coalition: his party, Netanyahu's party, Likud, and then a variety of other parties together made up the majority so that they can pass legislation in Israeli parliament. But with this one part of his coalition, this little group pulling out, he's only got 61 members, which means every single member has to be on point and vote in favor of whatever Netanyahu wants to pass or push in a legislative capacity. Otherwise, he can't pass legislation. The government basically can't run. This is the narrowest possible majority. But here's the problem for, Netanyahu. Another ultra-Orthodox Jewish party, the Shas, with 11 seats, they're threatening to quit as well if they leave. Netanyahu's government collapses completely. They don't even have the 61 majority. They'll be left with 50, which means if every member of Netanyahu's coalition voted yes for whatever legislation he's going for, still they can't pass it without begging the opposition to support them. So basically, it might trigger early elections because the government collapses. There is no government. It can't pass legislation. The opposition is bigger than the main party and the main party's coalition. This would put Netanyahu in an impossible position. It already does. Give in to public pressure for equal military service for the Hasidic Jewish community and their men, but then his allies would abandon him if he does that, or, well, his ultra Orthodox Jewish allies like United Jewish Torah and Shas. Or the other option he has is maintain the exemption so that the Hasidic Jewish men don't have to serve and face massive public anger as Israeli soldiers continue to die in Gaza, and they're thinking, why is there 80,000 men just sitting there doing nothing while my sons are sent to their deaths? Ideally, obviously, no one would be sent to anyone's death, but, can't really call that out here. This is a Israeli internal politics post. The conscription crisis reveals a fundamental tension that's tearing Israeli society apart, for better or worse. Most Israelis demand equal sacrifice during wartime, but ultra Orthodox parties argue military service threatens their religious identity. Netanyahu now has 48 hours to find a compromise before the resignations become official. One wrong move, and Israel's government might fall, potentially reshaping the country's political landscape forever. I made notes on this story, which many people won't know, won't be covered because it's Israeli internal politics, which of course affects geopolitics, which I primarily cover on this page. But I think it's good to know. Is very good to know. Um, for example, those who are not particularly happy with Israel, let us say, let us put it in that way. Well, Sun Tzu, the writer of The Art of War, an ancient Chinese military strategist, he said, "Know your enemy and know yourself. And in 1,000 battles you shall never be in peril." Or as it wasn't 100. Anyway, you get the point. So, um, I just want to point out something before we end this post. The Shas party, if they also leave, Netanyahu loses his majority. And now I wrote up the notes, the semi-script for this uh, before the latest news. The latest news at the time of this recording is the Shas party have also backed out. So more posts coming on that. See you guys in the next one for the unbiased news and analysis without the Western spin. I'm Mahfouz, as you already know.